Hello and welcome to the Analyser. It's winter in Melbourne. There's plenty of rain and wet tracks about, and we're at Sandown on the Hillside track this Saturday. Dave Strehlau joining me. And Dave, it's interesting. Are we looking for wet trackers, or what's happening with the weather-wise?
We absolutely are. Bring your flippers, bring your floaties, your goggles. It's a heavy night on Friday. Now, yes, it's 19 and sunny on Friday. It's a beautiful day, but
With wind?
Yeah, it won't be improving all that much. And race day, we're looking at between 7 and 15 mils. That's just the Melbourne CBD. You know, Sandown's in a bit of a rain pocket as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if they get the upper echelon of that. And if they do, well, I think we're on a heavy 10, and they'll be getting way off the fence with the rail out 6 metres.
The interesting thing is that rain has been pushed back, but it's still meant to hit during the meeting. So if you're looking to avoid the bottomless part of the track, I think you want to run the first couple of races. Come those last few, I think we, as you said, could be on a heavy 10 as we go to a market. Thanks to Ladbrokes for the first race. And Stars of Dom, 380 to 290. Bear in mind, Tales of Time has been scratched, so significant deductions from those opening prices. Mbube has been 480 to 340. Our Brave Boys into 550, and then you got Super Beck, who's jumped out nicely at $9. But I think the price of the favourite here is quite generous, Dave, as we have a look at a replay of Stars of Dom. Market was giving her some respect on debut, but there wasn't huge expectation. This was a 2-year-old race where there looked to be some decent form, you know, and some horses that jumped out well going into it. And she was one of the eye catchers of the meeting for me.
There's some that have raced since have been only fair down the Flemington Straight, but they had some race fitness. She got right back. This was race 1 on a program on a track where they were chopping it up and it was deteriorating, but they still ran better time than the benchmark 78. And her close was faster than the benchmark 78 on the same day. So that's a big pass mark on debut. We know it was a soft-rated track, but all reports were it was sort of in that heavy range as well. So I don't think these conditions will stop her. She looks a really strong winning hope. And for me, there really looks only one danger, because of the horses that have raced, I think she's got them covered quite soundly if she even just runs up to what she did last start. But Mbube, it is a horse that's jumped out really nicely at Cranbourne, very quietly on rain-affected tracks. And the most recent jump out was quietly ridden. Mark Zara was on. And then after the post, he couldn't hold the horse. I think it's got some ability, and it's been actually really well supported in early betting. So because it's a 2-horse race, I can back one, save on the other.
Yeah, I can understand that scenario, and it was something I considered. But I'm happy to just back Stars of Dom. I just think at the prices, Mbube's really well found at the current quote. Yes, he might be very smart. He might win. He might handle wet ground. A lot of mights there, though, for a horse that's $3.40, and I think Stars of Dom should be shorter of what she did on debut. So happy to back her in the first race, save with her as well, and saving on the debutant that's jumped out well. Let's get a market for the second race with Ladbrokes. And Race for Rule been well supported off a dominant maiden win, 7 into 480. Brilliant Horizon was very good there, winning on the Lakeside track, 480 to $5. Davita's at $6.50, Amping Lass, $8. Been some support for Lucky Single, 10 into $8.50, with Afterburner at $9. So a very, very open second race on the card. Let's have a look at Brilliant Horizon, who went forward, dominated this race from the front. You've got Gisela and Amping Lass coming through the same race, and Brilliant Horizon really showed them a clean pair of heels. My little concern with this race for Brilliant Horizon, Dave, is I know that the horse has some tactical versatility that just looks 4 or 5 litres in this race on paper.
It is a tricky map. She was able to go forward and control things last start on a day where it was an advantage to be up on speed. But considering she did this first up off cardiac arrhythmia prior to spelling, the overall time was good. She meets Amping Lass 5.5 kilos less at the weights, but even though that's quite a significant weight swing, I think given that she was first up, she led at that fast tempo and they couldn't even make ground off her. She's the one you'd want to follow through that race. And she also relished the wet track conditions too, which is obviously going to be getting on Saturday. Race for Rule, an interesting one. We saw in that market, been supported into favourite. Now, off her runs, what we've seen so far in her career, you probably would have thought that she'd be looking for 1,600 metres, but maybe the fact that back-in trip on a really rain-affected ground makes this a tougher test. She could perform well. Lucky Single has some wet track form to its name as well. I don't think Amping Lass can turn the tables on Brilliant Horizon, but I'm not betting.
Yeah, neither am I. I'm interested in Lucky Single. Fastest last 200 of the day on debut at Ararat, and then won at Maui, but I don't think likes being the middle of a line of 3 on speed. Looked gone on the turn, but class just got her there. So, yeah, it goes on top for me, but Hasn't exactly been missed in the market. Brilliant Horizon, just a bit of a sticky map. And I couldn't split Afterburner and Love You More out of the same race, but very, very even contest and a tough one to sort out race number 2. Let's see if race 3 is a bit easier for us to find a bet into. And Poola's been well supported. Or should I say again, we've got significant deductions because we've had the early clear favourite in first chorus around the 290 mark has come out. So big deductions, you've got 550 Pooler, 650 Perfect 10, Hush Hush and Street Lark at 750, and then Cooley and Araqua at $8, Dave. So first chorus was dominating this market. So she comes out. There's a horse here I didn't mind in Araqua who, you know, on the Analyser, I was very keen on first chorus, but did have something small, basically a place bet on Araqua when we covered this race a couple of weeks ago. And if you just ignore first chorus, this was a fast run race where Araqua sat close to a fast speed, looked absolutely gone. She was closer to that inside section of the track. I really liked her last 100 metres here for a horse who does have good wet track form.
It looked like a run of a horse that's looking for a little bit further.
Correct,
as well.
yeah.
So that is one negative, staying at 1,600 metres. This could top her up, but in the wrong part of the track, when that sprint went on off that good tempo, she got dropped and then she came again through the line. Didn't find her way into my numbers because I think she might want further, but this is a race now with the favourite scratch because of that foot abscess and not quite coming up. You could throw a blanket over them, really. Hush Hush, no jockey booking, but pretty strong to the line on a heavy track at Rose Hill last up. Pooler gets blinkers first time, will ride the speed. Bells Have Wah been racing against the boys. Perfect 10 was wide last up when beaten by Cooley, and you can make a case for Cooley as well. You can
make a case for most of these. I just thought Araqua was one over the odds. I'm going to go 1 by 3 there at the $8. Thought she was the second best run outside of first chorus. Look, I thought first chorus was here. She was an odds-on chance. So ignoring her, second best run in the race, I'm going to back her each way. Pooler can lead, blinkers on, has heavy track form. Also a big hope in the race. We'll head to a break here on the Analyser. On the other side, we'll be back to preview races 4 to 6, Sandown Hillside track. Welcome back to the Analyser. We'll get a market now. Thanks to Ladbrokes for race 4 at Sandown on the Hillside track, and there's been good support for the favourite, Clever Trevor. He's building a great record, and he's been 3 to 280. Cardamom, $7.50 to $6. Barbarino, $7.50 to $7, and it's Sulek, the only other horse in single figures. Let's have a look at old mate Trev here, Dave, who, when he's maiden before a spell, won a Bendigo first up in a lesser grade, went to Caulfield, first time wet ground, first time Saturday class, ticked both boxes. Look, he had a nice run, but he's just adaptable. He's tactically versatile, handles all conditions. He's a really likeable horse.
He did have a nice run, but he was in the 1-1 prior to then getting shuffled back to second last, but it was a nice patient ride from Billy Egan. He didn't panic. He knew that he could ease off heels and then rip him to the best part of the track. So although he was on a better part of the track than Undisputable and meets Undisputable worse off at the weight, I think he's the better horse as well. And, you know, he just put them away and did enough on the line then too. He was quite good sitting outside the leader first up at Bendigo as well. And he's building a really good winning record. And we know Paddy Payne, he's flying at the moment.
Yeah.
His horses can fly on wet tracks too. So he's a rightful favourite, but I couldn't price him below $3.40. So I'm staying out and not betting. Barbarino ran a good number on debut, got flushed out early, was pretty soft on the line, but it was a weaker race. Cardamom should have finished a lot closer to Concord Connie last start. Did find the best part of the track at Cranbourne on a soft track, but was quite effective first up. They've spaced its runs and given it a nice jump out. Undisputable has the Clever Trevor form, but not betting due to price.
Yeah, I didn't have him quite as long as you. I had him $3. So, and you know, was $3. Just no real edge. Didn't necessarily want to bet. Thought long and hard about it. So he's on top, clear on top for me. I thought Cardamom, as you said, should have finished closer. She's progressive, jumped out well between runs. Thought she was the main danger. No ceiling on Barbarino and Zebra Finch. Maybe a touch of overs. Stripping fitter, gets wet ground, which he likes. As we go to a market now for the 5th. And Big Swing is nice and short here. $2.60. Interested in Dave's thoughts on gate 1. El Rocco, look, he's a gun wet tracker. Historically been one of the best in Victoria. His last 100, his past few, is starting to worry me. Run, Harry, Run looks very short given the conditions and the fact that he's first up. Grid Girl, $7.50. Punch Lane might be ready, $9. However, Lance at $9.50 and a little bit of specking for Bolt Saver, who is a wet tracker. Out of the handicap, not well weighted, $12 into $10. Let's have a look at a replay that features several of them, Dave. You've got Big Swinger, very good. Grid Girl first up, very good. Punch Lane riding a fast speed, maybe a forgive. El Rocco went for home, maybe a forgive. You can make cases for all four of them.
I want to forgive El Rocco for this start and also his recent run at Caulfield. I thought he copped a little bit of a barbecuing for the one that was first up with Craig Williams riding. Went up and heaped the pressure on a horse that was first up off 40 weeks. It dropped out beaten 12 lengths and they ran a fast tempo. He was stuck to the inside. I reckon he controls this by himself on Saturday, and the horse that follows him is Punch Lane. He's back fading there in the yellow cap with the blue, but he was working 4 wide on what was a fast tempo. He's a very effective wet tracker. I see them pairing off, and I want to back them both. I think that's a good price for Punch Lane because he's a horse who, at his best, would put these right away. El Rocco, I can be really forgiving of his last few runs. Grid Girl, as you mentioned, was first up, and Big Swinger finds his way into my numbers, but $2.60, he's rock bottom odds. He's drawn barrier 1. He did have a really nice run there last night. He got to the best part of the track, and when he won over 1,400 metres at Flemington, he was sort of held up. They didn't go that hard. Then he burst away. This is a different test.
He showed he can handle wet ground last time out, but heavy, bottomless ground at 14. It worries me a little bit at the price from gate 1. So I thought there might be a little bit more pressure. I thought Punch Lane, El Rocco and Grid Girl would all go forward, and it might set up for this horse. I'm a bit concerned about El Rocco's last 100, his past couple, because I've been with him. I'm going to go 1x3 Bolt Saver. He's about as good a wet tracker as there is. I love the fact he ran so well at Swan Hill with 60.5 on a 5 when he's just an out-and-out heavy 10 horse. He goes about as fast on a 5 as he does on a 10. So he's testing the patience, but it's D8 on Saturday for Bolt Saver.
Well, you've gone each way. He likes a placing.
He does like a placing, so let's see if he can put his nose down in front. He'll look the winner. He still might run 4th when you back him each way. We'll go to a market now for race number 6, where Cicala is a pretty progressive and exciting horse, 360 to 370. Landmark looked the winner and then just peaked on his run, $7. Bazball rewarded 9 into 8. Beast Mode 7 out to 8.50. Then you got the Super Fun 12 into $10. I'm going to defer to Dave for this one because I've got a bit more work still to do on this race. We're going to look at a couple of replays, starting with Cicala. I have actually seen the trial of this horse that we're going to take a look at, and it was pretty nice work. This is the overall record of a nice horse too.
Absolutely. The only time that she's lost the race was when she was in a Group 3, and relative to her rating at the time, she was really poorly weighted. Her first jump out was over a short course distance. She just cruised around, but then she comes off the back of one that was race fit and is a bit of a speedster in this recent trial, and just have a look at the way that she works through the line. She has a massive turn of foot and she is an excellent wet tracker as well. So I think by this stage of the day, out of the chute, drawing wide is going to be probably favourable, and her change-up speed, particularly that some of her dangers, she carries less weight than them, is going to be really difficult to hold out.
What about Nimbustwothousand, who is a horse that's found his way on the Analyser earlier into the preparation? We're going into the darkness at Cranbourne to see how he's gone between runs. He
carried big weights last preparation, so Logan Bates claims down 1.5 kilos. He carries 56 today, so he should be able to use his turn of foot, which he displayed last preparation under those big weights. He had cardiac arrhythmia prior to spelling, so we can forgive that. Prior to that, geez, he was very consistent. He's had 2 jump outs. They've both been excellent, and he is an absolute wet tracker. They went up $20. He's been really well supported. I have him as the biggest danger to Cicala as well. So I was happy to back them both. Now that he's been supported, you can maybe have another $1 or $2 on him, Nimbustwothousand, make him a nice result as well as Cicala. Bazball rewarded, racing well. I think back to 1,000 metres definitely suits, and Landmark. Well, I was on him last start and I was counting my cash. I was getting the text going, you know, boys, how good am I? And then he just peaked on the run, so maybe third up he'll be a bit stronger. Yeah, he looks ready just about now. So an interesting race, that one. A bit more work to do on it for me, so no bets at this stage. We'll head to a break on the Analyser. On the other side, we'll come back with the last 3 from the Hillside track. Welcome back to the Analyser. We'll get a market with Ladbrokes for race 7 at Sandown, which is a very strong off-season staying contest. Simurgh was easy in early betting, 350 out to 390, back into 360. Straand Deal
It's been rock solid at 390. Skipper's Canyon at 5. Araqua has attracted some support, 750 to 6. Oceana Dream at $7. And then Go Daddy, who looked like he went up way over the odds, has been 18 into $14 at a price. So speaking of Go Daddy, he's been backed at a price. He comes to a replay which features the favourite Simurgh, also Oceana Dream, and likewise Skipper's Canyon. I'm interested in your take on this race, Dave, in that most of these meet Simurgh better at the weights. I just wonder if he's a very good horse. You pointed out in the Analyser second up that he showed a big turn of foot off a slow speed on dry ground. He then went straight to a fast race, outstayed them. Showed a good turn of speed here as well. And, my read is he was just doing enough here.
It was a nice win. He's hard to knock, isn't he? He's versatile in terms of where he can settle and the tempos he can run. I thought Skipper's Canyon through this was flattered. The right part of the track was saved up. Go Daddy is the one that was put up a price that I wanted to follow because he was good back to the inside. Look at him through the line, the wrong part of the track. And interestingly, the thing about this horse is he's never raced in Australia beyond 2,100 metres, but you look back at what he was doing in the UK before coming over here, and his pet distance was sort of 24 to 2,800 metres. So he might be finally getting to his right trip.
Yeah, he looks the one that went up over the odds out of that race at $18 plus. It seemed like the wrong price, given he's got that rise in trip, wasn't in the best part of the track there last time out. We'll go to a replay now of another key lead-up where Straand Deal went to a complete new level. Now, I think positive thing for Saturday is he got onto a heavy track and then absolutely belted the opposition.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to trust your eye. It was a day where the racing was shared between flat and jumps, but you know, overall time was really strong. It was soft late, like Mark Zara's very easy on him in the last 100 metres, and geez, this was impressive. He's now 2 for 2 since blinkers went on, and this was the first time that he's seen a wet track, and he clearly relished it. So although there's a lot more depth here, that wasn't the strongest benchmark 70, and this is a pretty good off-season staying race at 84 level. He gets 4.5 kilos off his back, and I think he can win because he's got that versatility as well from a low gate where there's not much speed in the race. They could probably have him a bit closer to the speed. He's got a turn of foot. I'm also backing Go Daddy through that Simurgh race, who, look, Simurgh can run well. I wasn't backing him. I thought Go Daddy was over the odds through the same race.
Yep, I can understand the case for both of them. I'm pretty keen on Simurgh here. I'm going to make him one of the better bets on the program and just back in that there was a bit more in the tank there. I think he's looking for further. Slow run, fast run, wet track, dry track, doesn't matter. I think he's just a good horse, and I think he might be better than this grade. Skipper's Canyon was good. I think when I reassess my selections, he might go down to 4th. I don't know why I've got him that high, to be honest. I agree with you. I think he was flattered. Straand Deal, the big danger because he was so good on heavy ground. And Go Daddy, I do think, like you, is over the odds and worth having something if you were thinking of a saver in the race. Let's go to a market now for race number 8. Gilded Water, $3.80 into $3.30 off a forgivable run where he had excuses. But, of course, we do have a key scratching coming out of this race into Zima. So note, most of these horses are going to have big deductions out of those opening prices. Regardless, it's been a big go for Makdane, $7.50 to $3.70. Puddings at $6, Sir Atlas at $7, Banker's Choice 8 with the Doctor of Love, $8.50. A couple of replays to look at, Dave, starting with Makdane, who I think you might have been one of those people taking the early price.
Absolutely, yeah. That's 18 cents that's come out for Tazima. So from his opening quote of $7.50, that still is a pretty good go, as you referenced. He just got sat up on from the 6 to 4 last start, and they were allowed to sort of bunch up around him. And even though he sort of wasn't leading slowly, he turned into a bit of a dash home. And I thought he was really strong once he then picked up. Through the line, he sort of keeps running. So that sort of is a little bit of a lead that maybe if they sort of didn't back it off and kept up the gallop, that there was more to offer as well. He just sort of comes off heels through the line and there's a bit to offer. He's got a rise in grade, but I don't mind the drop in distance for him. He loves wet tracks. And after the claim, he's got 52 kilos. That's a dangerous weight. He's been carrying big weights for virtually all of his career as well. So I don't think he'll know himself. And if he's not leading, he lets one roll across like a Banker's Choice, and then he pops off its back and can pick his lane in the straight as well. So we saw when it was really heavy last time at Sandown, even though they got off the fence, you could still lead, win, sit outside leader and win. You just get to the right part of the track first.
Yep. Fit wet trackers is the go. He fits that bill. Let's have a look at a couple of more horses in this race among the better chances. Banker's Choice, well ridden, had every opportunity. Pudding just got him late. Gilded Water pulled up with an excuse, didn't he? So he's a very hard horse to price and assess.
He did. He had EIPH. He was well fancied in the market first up, and everyone that had watched his trials and jump outs thought, my goodness, this guy is coming back well. But he's eased out of the race. I know you can trust his SP. You can trust the fact that he may be the best horse in the race, given what he did in the spring. He was enormous in a Bart Cummings when he was still doing a whole lot wrong. But it is very forgiving when you first up run, you are beaten, 20-plus lengths.
You're not getting much of a spoil in the
Exactly
price,
right, yep. So I couldn't back him at that price. I've had a bet on Makdane, and on a program where there's, not many real standouts, I have made him my best bet of the day. Pudding's just racing so generously at the moment, and the Doctor will love scratch from Flemington last week. He wants further.
Yeah, and I'm just worried about the wet ground for him. Like, he ran okay on heavy ground, as in a maiden earlier in his career, but it wasn't as good as his form at the same time on firmer surfaces. We'll go to a market for the last. This is a really interesting contest. The Belmont Gangster, starting to become a bit of a Goldilocks, 480 into 450. We'll expand on that. There's been support for Lovely Cut. She's testing the patience of her backers, of which I am one. Zana, 10 into 850. Sought after, a nice win last time, $10. Storm Season, 11 into 10. And Medella's at 12 from a distance. Has been easy at 12. Might need one more. And didn't miss many. Very easy to make a case. It's over the odds at $14. So let's go to the favourite, the Belmont Gangster. It was an improved run last time out. I don't think this guy wants the reins. So he wants plenty of wind today. He wants this track to be on the better side of heavy, maybe worse side of soft. He doesn't like it firm. We liked him one day at Caulfield. He turned his nose up, said it was too hard for me. He went to the Bull. Well, that's a bit too wet for me. This was okay last time. He loomed up, didn't win. He's short enough for me, given he needs a lot in his favour.
You're right. He certainly had his chance. He had a beautiful run in transit. They did gap the rest. Silent Shares is a horse building a pretty good record as well. But,
how much is that second to Observer or beating Observer? Or
Yep.
He beat that win over Observer when Observer was first up as a 3-year-old. It's doing a lot of heavy lifting in his form profile.
It is. I quoted it sort of early in his preparation, but it's a distant memory now, isn't it? I thought as favourite, even though it is sort of 550 the field, he was too short.
Well, it could be Bull-like by this stage, and he didn't go a yard at the Bull. We'll go to another replay here, one you do like here, Dave, in Storm Season. I'm interested in your case for this horse because it hasn't seen, bottomless heavy ground before, but look, she did look a really promising horse earlier in her career.
She did, and she's quite effective first up as well. They haven't been giving much away at the jump outs, but I'm really liking the way that she's moving as well. Both her jump outs over 1,000 metres, one of them on a heavy 9, the other one on a soft 7. I know race day is a bit of a different story, but she looks pretty progressive. She was on the heels of England in one of the jump outs, who's a handy enough horse. Prior to Spelling, she beat home Welcome to the Show. That's a good horse. I think the form around her is pretty good, and there has been a little bit of early speccing for her as well, opened double figures.
From a stable that are elite at having them rock hard fit first up. Going to go to one more replay for this race with Changing Colours. There's a big, big watch on this horse. New stable, Yeoman's team, very strong starting price profile when she was with Chris Waller. She's performed on heavy ground. And what are you saying from the jump outs as to how forward they've got her first up?
Well, you can tie in Storm Season through the same jump out because that's England coming off the heels of Changing Colours. I like the way it just sort of cruised around in the first of two jump outs, not really asked a question. And then they put the blinkers on her in this most recent jump out, which she gets first time today. And I thought it was nice work. They sort of asked her to find the line a little bit. As I mentioned, England's a horse that's better than this grade as well, so it's pretty good jump out form reference. Dakota King claims down 3 kilos as well. When markets initially opened, they didn't have a jockey booked. And then, so you can sort of take that sort of 15, 16 bucks, which was on offer, and then the ratings change a bit with those 3 kilos coming off it. With Ladbrokes, $14, I think is a good price. So I've backed her, Changing Colours, I've backed Storm Season. He finds his way to my numbers, the Belmont Gangster, but he's under the odds and sought after strong to the line at Murray Bridge last start, but this is harder.
Got a bit more work to do on this race in terms of sorting out my top 4, but I know that Lovely Cut's going to be a bet for me. Look, she was awfully disappointing not going past the winner, Didn't Miss Many, who she's against this time on Saturday. I just thought She didn't change legs in the home straight. She was going to win. I think by this race, you're going to want an out-and-out wet tracker and a horse that's rock-hard fit, and she fits the bill there. John McNeil gets on Saturday. Hopefully he can get her to the right part of the track and get her to not lay in. There's a key gear change too with the bubble cheeker going on. So hopefully she can repay the faith of her backers on Saturday. How are you playing Sandown this week, Dave?
Race 1's a pretty high confidence race for me. Stars of Dom is the rightful favourite. I loved what she did on this track on debut, and Mbube looks the danger from the jump outs. I think Stars of Dom has everything covered that we've seen race. Pretty keen to bet into race 5. Punchline's my best value of the day. He'll follow El Rocco everywhere he goes. Cicala has a whopping turn of foot. She's down in the weight. She's only lost once and she loves wet tracks. Nimbustwothousand went up a huge price for a horse that loves wet tracks. Thought GoDaddy was good in the wrong part of the track last start. Straand Deal 2 for 2 in the blinkers. Makdane, one of the better bets on the day, goes forward with a lightweight. 2 bets in the last Storm season, changing colours.
Yeah, a lot of confidence there, plenty of bets. Like to see it. Stars of Dom, I'm with you. I think she's one of the better bets on the program. I like Araqua each way, ready to peak third up. Bolt Saver each way, needs to put his nose down and get a win, but he's a very good wet tracker. Simurgh, I just think he's a good horse, one of the best on the program, and lovely cut, fit, wet tracker in the last. Could be pretty sloppy and wet by then. That's it for this Sandown Hillside edition of the Analyser.